Some brands offer you low finance, or cashback, or servicing.
Renault don't do ors. We do ands. The Renault Kadjar with 1.91% APR and €1,000 cashback and 3 years servicing, saving you thousands. Renault, the brand with the ands. Visit your local Renault dealer. Finance is made under a hire purchase agreement. Terms and conditions apply. Deposit required subject to lending criteria. See Renault.ie.
Hello and welcome to Up the Arts, Radio Flange Goblet's cultural magazine program with me, your host, Leonard Plimsoll Jabberwocky. Everyone who is anyone knows Britain's national treasure, Daniel Spinetruncheon. From his debut on the London stage in Bob Leotard's immortal work, Lettuce for Gretchen, to his last film role, where, although he appeared ravaged with age and somewhat frail, he gave an age-defying performance of gusto and verve as Rupert the Milkman in Lenny Thigh's The Milkman Spilleth Over, opposite a young, spunky and spry Spamina wrist goggles. We are honoured here at Up the Arts to present this clip from a new award-winning documentary about Daniel, where he explains how he stayed relevant and vibrant for so many decades.
I don't know when I first discovered it. I think it was a technique used by Sir John Gigglywoods originally, or maybe Marlon Brandish. But once I started, I just couldn't stop. Basically, whether on stage or on camera, I played damn near every role I was ever known for with my chap resting in a jar of jam, or indeed marmalade. When I played Basil Ruffage in To Kill a Pelican or Clive Mantelpieces in Of Dice and Phlegm, my trouser companion was placed quite deliberately in a raspberry or gooseberry rougher and more fruity preserve. My famous turn as Sir Lady Guts in Cloth Bunterclap's Cacophony of Balls was performed with my testicles dunked in a jar of mashed prunes. You could say I really plumbed the depths on that one. Of course, in the early days, as I didn't know any better, I simply attached the jam to my belt, utilizing some old string or some hair that I'd plucked unknowingly from my leading lady while she slept, and just flopped the old jolly todger right out for all to see. As the years went on, however, and technology caught up with the demands of our craft, special discreet codpieces were devised that housed both the sweet fruit spreads and my man tackle. Because, of course, in the old days, especially for my fellow performers, it could be quite distracting to have me prance across the boards with my soldier out on manoeuvres, as it were. Dame Celia Nutrition, though, was probably my favourite co-star. No matter how much me old twig and berries splashed around in the guava preserve, her eyes never wandered and her resolve never faltered. Of course, that may have something to do with the fact that she always played all her parts with her bosoms doused in vinaigrette. Who can tell? The less said about Penelope Artichoke, though, the better. She would practically trip over herself at the sight of my one-eyed lizard plopped in some pith-heavy marmalade. Spent the whole fourth act of William Platesphere's Ranalt and Julio drooling like a Dutchman. She died later that year of the laundry lady's curse, so I didn't have to put up with her for long, thank God. Anyway, is that enough for your documentary? Got all the footage you need? I need to change out my strawberry jam down here. There are flies landing on my junk.
You're listening to the After Movie Diner with your host, Jon Cross.
That's right, I am Jon Cross, only my face has been changed to protect the innocent. Hello ladies, baboons, Freemasons, slave masons, wine enthusiasts, bottom enthusiasts, people who aren't really fussed about either, Donalds, Allens, Gladyses, potted plants, people who rub chamois leathers for fun and profit, men who aren't afraid to vomit, Gerald Coffin my butts, 2/3 of the Mormon Tabernacle rim jobbers, a private group of nuns who like dressing up as waste disposal units, and Pope Obadiah IV, Queen of Pliny. Welcome one, and welcome very much all. Now, before we get started with this week's show, as always, a reminder that you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/aftermoviediner. That's patreon.com/aftermoviediner. And not only get some great rewards, but get the personal reward of knowing you paid it forward once. You can then smugly lord your goodness over all your friends at your next monthly Splash Your Love Juice on the Small of My Back party. You can also go to aftermoviediner.com and click on the Amazon link in the top right-hand corner before you do your Amazon shopping. It costs you absolutely no extra, but for everything you buy, Amazon kicks us a few shekels. Finally, you can go to miskplumbingfixtures.bandcamp.com, that's MISC, plumbingfixtures.bandcamp.com, and buy the latest album from Miscellaneous Plumbing Fixtures, Former Glory, which features the wondrous Dr. Console on keys, Johnny the Horns Cole on brass and also the keys, and the clear, bright Freedom Pipes of Jay Mayo on backing vocals. It's just $6 for 16 tracks, and every penny goes back to keeping aftermoviediner.com and this podcast alive. So please help us out wherever you can, and if you can't with money, at least rate and review us wherever the podcast is found and help spread the word. Sharing on social media really does help. Even if you think it doesn't, please do that. With that, let's start off Sleazy Spader Springtime 3, 'Tis the Sleazon. Yes, every year you wait anxiously for us to do this, well, at least Andy Lund does, and so we couldn't exactly disappoint you all. So let's head now to a small luncheonette on the other side of the moon with two fine fellows who are most definitely not squids for yet another episode of Sleazy Spader Springtime, 'Tis the Sleazon! Oh, it's Sleazy Spider Springtime. Welcome to the show. Oh, it's a Sleazy Spider Springtime. I want you all to know that if you please, there's James Spader Sleazon. It's got nowhere else to go. So loosen all your blouses, give your nose a damn good blow. It's Sleazy Spider Springtime show. Oh, yeah. It is Sleazy Spider Springtime show. So yes, let's start and say hello and welcome to this week's episode of the After Movie Diner. We have back on the show two of my favorite recurring guests. It is the wonderful Dee Shaw from the Three Black Geeks podcast and the awesome Mohr from No Budget Nightmares. Gentlemen, how have you been?
Oh man, you've been slacking, man. Normally I'll come in, you have this like 14 paragraph intro written out that I have to mute my microphone because I'm dying laughing the whole time.
I know long soliloquy about how one of us was like a rugby player for like a year and a half. It's like you know when Wes Anderson sets up all the characters of a story. It's almost like that. That's what it's kind of.
Yeah.
That's all right.
I didn't do it this time around because I just didn't. I've been so. In fact, no, actually, I can explain it. Yesterday evening, I was editing this week's show, and I wrote a huge long comedy sketch, and I wrote a huge introduction for the show. And so therefore, I'm just kind of written out. So I may actually insert an introduction for the pair of you. Which actually now won't fit in because you've both just gone, hey, where was our introduction?
No, don't even bother at this point.
What are you doing?
We gave you the pass.
or do this like this. Wow, thank you, John. That was a wonderful intro. See?
If I could just get 10 seconds of silence and then Mo, you do your line.
Yeah, thanks. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a wonderful, it's a fantastic introduction. Thank you very much. What? So yes, on this episode, as it is the second episode of Sleazy Spader Springtime 3, 'Tis the Sleazon. That's the tagline for this. Last year it was the Sleazoning, and this year it is 'Tis the Sleazon.
Sleazoning. That sounds like a really rough porno.
Yes, it's the kind of thing that James Spader would have in his basement.
Yeah, I was going to say also starring James Spader.
Also starring James Spader on VHS in one of those big old cardboard boxes, not even the sleeves and not even the big clamshells, but the big unwieldy cardboard boxes that with like the faded image on the front that porn used to come in back in the day. That's what the sleaze thing would be in. I feel like that would be the thing. But yeah, we are we are now trawling through 4 more James Spader films. Last week we had the interesting TV movie from the early 80s, Star-Crossed, which I have to say, guys, if you haven't seen it, listen to this week's episode when it comes out and track that down on YouTube, because that's some balmy fucking shit on that in that movie. I can tell you that is some weird stuff right there. And then this week, well, Mo, why don't you tell us what is the name of this movie? You were the one who picked it, so...
Did I? Oh,
yeah, you picked it. You were
right.
like, oh, let's do it for this just because of the title. And never have you been so wrong.
Yeah. So, okay, so if I get it. You're setting me up as the fall guy here. I understand.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. It's my show. You behave. No, you carry on.
This week, for this episode, we decided on. Well, I guess technically I decided on 2001's Speaking of Sex.
Yeah, which, to be fair to you, Mo, has quite the pedigree because it is directed by John, Portrait of a Serial Killer, McNaughton, who also made the shamelessly entertaining movie Wild Things, which also had a Bill Murray cameo in it. And it has a phenomenal cast. Well, not a phenomenal cast, but at least a cast full of people that you're like, well, I could watch these guys kind of do something. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? You've got James Spader, you've got Bill Murray, you've got
A
Lara,
horribly miscasted Jay Mohr.
yeah.
Oh my God! Thank you.
Lara Flynn Boyle, and you've got Catherine O'Hara. Like, you've got people there where you're like, well, even if it's a piece of shit, I could probably watch these guys do something. What I didn't realize is just what kind of piece of shit this would be, and the fact that all of them thought they were in a much better movie than they were.
No, I mean, you're not wrong, but seriously, if you like you said, you look at the cast alone screams this should be pretty good, and then you remember this is like 6 years before half of these guys made it big, so they weren't doing much of anything, because you've got Nick Offerman, who was a known entity at the time, but not like particularly famous. Or like Megan Mullally, who, like, those two, they're married, they come as a pair anyway.
I hear they do come as a pair.
Well, it's all that sex,
Yeah.
It was really weird seeing Megan there before she became what she became. Like, I think a year and a half later. You know what I mean? To what we all know what she is today. So you're right. It's before a lot of these people hit their stride of what they were. We've seen them in this.
Well, Will and Grace.
Will and Grace was around, yeah.
Yeah, Will and Grace started in '98, so she had actually been around for.
Damn, really?
Yeah.
Man, that's how long I haven't been giving a shit about that show? Wow.
Yes.
True story.
D, you and I have not been giving a shit about that show for 20 years. 20
oh my gosh!
years.
Look.
Me included.
Now,
Look,
hang on a second. Was she on from the very beginning? Was she on the first season?
You know what?
I think you're asking the two wrong guys.
No. Look, she was. I can answer that because my wife absolutely loves that show, but she doesn't watch every episode. She knows enough. I think you know what I mean. So whatever.
So what you're saying is that you're a big fan of the show, but you're blaming it on your wife.
Oh God! Look, I will ask my hey, honey.
Isn't that what most guys do with Grey's Anatomy? Where they're like, I don't watch that shit, but they know every fucking thing about it.
We do that a lot. We do that. We play like the deflection game. Like, there's this show actually on their last season now. It's called The Originals. I don't watch the originals. I watch every episode with my wife. I watch every fucking episode with my wife.
But let me guess. You like the Vampire Diaries more.
Oh God, I don't. Look, here's the part. I
should probably explain that to John because I'm guessing he doesn't know. The Originals is a spin-off show of the Vampire.
Spin-off show.
I know. I left the Vampire Diaries in the dust with my ex. Thank God.
Oh.
Dude, here's the funny thing about that. I know grown black men that looked at me like, oh my God, you watched the originals? the real motherfucking show is the Vampire Diaries. Like, what? I'm sorry. What?
Sorry, the real fucking show is Buffy. I think we all know that. And,
Actually, you know what's that's the funny thing? Now, that's the fun part. I know a lot of guys that watch Buffy.
Oh, I watched the shit out of Buffy at university.
I didn't. Everybody
I never liked it.
Everybody would have that conversation. I wouldn't be in it. I know. Here's the funny thing. I know people in it. See, no, actually, you know what I did? While everybody was watching Buffy, I had to be the weird motherfucker and watch Charmed because
the only episode of Charmed I ever watched was the one that Bruce Campbell cameoed on. It was back in the day when I used to just watch any shit that Bruce Campbell would do, and I watched like the double episode that he's on.
Well, see, I remember back in the 90s when everybody was watching Buffy, and I like they'd start talking about it, and I'd be like, man, Paul Rubens was hilarious in that. And like because like I love the movie. I never understood the appeal of the show. I loved the movie.
You see, I was an Alison Hannigan fan before the whole Vampire Willow thing. Like once the show started to make Hannigan like purposely sexy, like nerd sexy, and then she becomes a lesbian and a vampire and a twin and everything else, and a witch and all this other stuff. Like later on in the show, I was like, okay, I'm fine with that. But like I was Willow all the way before the show caught up to her sexiness. That was my whole.
Like my wife. But you sound exactly like my wife. She said the same fucking thing.
I tell you what, D, your wife and me would get on like a house on fire. We could just sit around, talk about Hannigan all day, send you and Mo out to play in the yard. You guys run up and you're like, hey, we need more water for our water pistol. We're like, the adults are talking now, guys. Go back at it.
What about season 4? Oh my God! like that type of conversation. You know, I hated Buffy. People that talked about Buffy all the time because I was excluded out of the conversation. I hated it so much because it reminded me of when I was in high school. And good God, I hated this so much because I had to check my own self at this point. There were a bunch of these people. They were like the only because I went to private school at the time. And the people that at least the kids I was with at go to school every day, they would talk about only one show and one show only, and they'd be totally into it. And that's motherfucking Dawson's Creek. I had zero idea what was going on. I'm stuck there hearing these people talk about Dawson's Creek.
I was going to say, that show's too white for me.
Yeah, right.
Wow, I know. Look, here's the thing, though, Mo. I told him one day, I was like, so Dwayne, what do you watch? I'm like, man, I just watched Toonami. I like Dragon Ball Z. The guy goes, oh, man, that's cool. One girl, the girl I had a crush on looked at me, you gay. Wait. How do I like Dragon Ball? I had to check myself. And finally, I got one day, it's like, hey, D, why do you give a shit? You watch Dragon Ball Z. They watch Dawson's Creek. They cry over I Don't Want to Wait Till My Life. They cry over that song. You know.
And listen, D, you came out the victor in the end. I mean, time has told the story, and like Dragon Ball Z is still hip and cool. And who's going to conventions dressed up as Dawson? You know what I mean? Or
as I slowly raise my hand, I do.
I go to the local Comic-Con convention dressed as characters from Dawson's Creek.
I would love to see somebody just all of us going to dress up like people off of like Dawson's Creek or fucking Gilmore Girls or some shit, just so everybody go why. You know what I mean?
You mean the character off the Gilmore Girls, Yanni I? Isn't that her name? Yanni I or whatever her name is.
Oh, please don't.
You know what?
I'm joking. But no, so let's bring this back around again. Just one last point about Buffy is that it doesn't bear rewatching. Like, I feel it was something you had to watch at the time. You had to go through the cycle with it. And then it's not something I've ever put back on or tried to watch. It's so goddamn 90s that like I can't handle it. Right. But anyway, talking about Megan Mullally and talking about TV shows, people might not know this because they might only know it from Will and Grace, or wasn't she on Parks and Rec as well and some other stuff?
Yeah.
But like
she was hilarious on that show to me.
Mullally has been around like forever. Like she's been acting since the early 80s, and she has shown up in all the TV shows you can imagine in the 80s, Murder, She Wrote, and Wings, and various other things. But two things I want to point out. First of all, she was on a TV series that only ran 1 year that Ellen Burstyn did. Who knew that Ellen Burstyn had a show? Like, the Ellen Burstyn Show. Like, Ellen Burstyn, to me, always plays, like, incredibly troubled and harrowing women, right? Strong, but still troubled and harrowing women. How did she get, like, a Mary Tyler Moore show in 1986? Like, let's put Ellen Burstyn the lead of a show. Megan Mullally as the sidekick. Like, I don't fucking know.
I'd watch that.
Right. Well, I would watch it. I would watch it now.
I'd watch the fuck out of that.
I want to know I want to know which studio that came up with that.
Easy, John. Anything to take down Cosby in the 80s. They tried everything.
They tried everything. They yeah.
Little did they know it would take until the 2010s.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Wait. We can no, because you know there was one guy at CBS kicks down the door. Wait a minute. We could have reported those rapes? Son of a bitch.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then the other thing that I wanted.
All right. I just see this guy walking through the door with the manicure.
Of course, you realize now that because you're talking about, like, you know, you mentioned Ellen Burstyn, so now I'm imagining, you know, this comedy based around her character for Requiem for a Dream, right. With Megan Mullally as the sidekick who's just gathering up speed pills for her.
Yeah, either that or it's her character from The Exorcist, and her Megan Mullally plays a possessed woman who keeps urinating on a carpet.
Exactly.
There's a whole
director every episode.
It's funny, yeah. Episode 3 is just Let Jesus Fuck You. I'm like, what is this show? And then the other thing that I wanted to bring up about Megan Mullally is that a few weeks ago on the show we covered 2 Peter Weller detective films from the 90s, in which Peter Weller was an LA cop in the 90s, being very 90s and Peter Weller-ish. And in one, it has a very noticeable and probably highly embarrassing scene at this point to Megan Mullally, where he goes and meets like a friend of the murder victim. And it's Megan Mullally as a flight attendant with a Hawaii fixation, who keeps like talking about Hawaii, even though he hasn't asked her about Hawaii at all. And she's doing this like really weird voice, and it's not like normal Megan Mullally voice. She's trying to do like a lower version of it. So she's all like, in Hawaii, they say mahalo. And I'm like, what is she doing? What is Megan Mullally doing in this movie? So yeah, totally bizarre.
That's easy. Getting the fucking paycheck.
Yeah, right. Well, not for the scene she was in. But she probably got paid half a Subway sandwich and a quick snog with Peter Weller, I would imagine. That's probably what she got paid.
What I want to know is about the show she did in 1992 called Fish Police.
Wow, there's a name I thought I would never hear again.
Yeah, I've never heard of this.
Oh my God! It came out during that weird time where everybody was trying to take down the Simpsons with a different animated show. So
what you're saying is Mullally has tried to take down Cosby, and now she's trying to take down the Simpsons. Is that what it is?
Oh my God! You know what? Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. It's funny. I remember like the show Family Dog. I remember this other show called Capital Critters, and I remember I
remember Capital Critters. Yeah.
Yeah. Capital Critters could have worked, but it was dumb as fuck.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't remember shit about Fish Police, but I knew it came in prime time. That's all. I was too. I guess I was a little bit too young before to remember anything about that. Wow. I wasn't ready for that. Really wasn't ready for that.
I won't even tell you what I think Fish Police was really about. So anyway, yes. Speaking of sex, you would think it's the director, as I said, coming off the back of Wild Things, doing another sort of ensemble cast movie with sort of twists and turns and stuff like that, and it's all kind of building up to a climax kind of thing. And you would think, okay, maybe this might be worth a damn.
You said climax.
He said orgasm. It's almost like when we're naming Gaspar Noé movies, because Gaspar Noé just clearly just went like, well, fuck it, I'm just going to call my next movie Clitoris and have done with it. But because anything to be fucking shocking to the
It's a 3-hour monologue about a talking clit.
Yeah, right. Hello. Yeah.
That talks just like that, exactly.
Hello, I'm a clitoris. But yeah, so
I find this conversation very stimulating. Man, you know what? You know what I am? I am the hide and seek champion forever. But seriously, folks, they can't find me. They never can find me.
Circles, circles, fellas, circles. So, which brings it back to this movie, because apparently one of the things that Lara Flynn Boyle taught. See, now, okay, so here's the thing. The big thing that this gets wrong in terms of James Spader, right, is that it gets it right in the sense that James Spader has sex with everyone. That's how it gets it right. It gets it wrong that Lara Flynn Boyle was ever able to teach James Spader anything. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. James Spader taught her all of the things. She didn't teach him anything. That is where this movie gets it wrong. They're like, oh, before Lara Flynn Boyle, he was like a novice. And I'm like, that doesn't really ring true. I mean, yes, okay, she was in Threesome with one of the Baldwin brothers, but that doesn't mean she has all the sexual playbook that Spader has. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't mean she was in a threesome with one of the Baldwin brothers.
No, she is in the movie.
No, I know.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
She is, and not only that, but with the Christian one, Stephen Baldwin, the floppy blonde-haired, the one who hates the other two.
Oh man, that's so sad. You just had to mention that he's Christian now. Oh God.
Yeah, he's Christian and Republican, and he hates Alec doing Trump on SNL, and he tries to make himself relevant.
Wow. Who knew of all the brothers it was going to be Stephen to be the one like, hey, Jesus, man. Who knew it was going to be him?
Right, the guy who spent most of his life like doing. What's funny about it is he did like loads of really weird 90s erotic thrillers. Like that's like straight to video erotic thrillers, and I'm like, really? That guy's the guy who has like a moral compass now? Go fuck yourself.
I heard when I heard about that, I was like, dude, you were one of the usual suspects. Get the fuck out of my face. Right. Are you serious? You?
Yeah, doesn't make any sense, does it? But so speaking of sex gets several things wrong. But Dee, you had said on Facebook that you kind of liked it after you watched it, so I only assumed that you watched the wrong film. But why don't you? No. Why don't you give us a rundown of the film a little bit, just a quick kind of snippet of the plot, and then sort of lead us into kind of what you enjoyed about it? Just because I think we should give it a fair crack of the whip if Mo and I are going to come down hard on it. And yes, they were both innuendos.
Oh, I'm going to come hard on it.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry.
Crack the whip.
Here's the thing. When I say I like it, I mean I liked it as a, you know what? That was a piece of shit. But at least I laughed a few times.
No, Dee, I've got it. You liked it because you watched it and you went, the way those white guys run around is really funny. Like, that was it. You were like, that white guy's funny.
No. Oh, God, no. There were only, all right, first off, the whole concept kind of reminds me of, not reminds me of anything. It's just like, I remembered during the late 90s into the early 2000s, we did have a lot of these, what you call these quirky comedies, and sometimes they were centered around sex, and usually they're not funny, they're mildly funny. This wasn't, making that very clear, this wasn't nowhere close to being hilarious or nothing like that. It was just like, oh, I get it, it's quirky, that was supposed to work by it. One of the problems that I really had was that Spader, as much as he was kind of in his own right acting his ass off, it wasn't him. You know what I mean? It just didn't feel like him.
Yeah.
You know, it really didn't feel like him. The fact that Spader,
he was sweaty and he was sexual, but in all the wrong ways, like in almost in like an anti-Spader way. That's what
it's kind of funny. it's kind of funny. Spader, at least what I know of him today, he is a bit of like, almost a borderline germaphobe. Really, he's neurotic as hell and all that shit. So it kind of, this is more of present day Spader than 80s. He'll fuck your daughter and look at you in the face Spader. You know what I mean? So this is a whole, you know what I'm saying? So you have to kind of pace yourself into it. The fact that, the one thing I did like, that was the one thing that got me about this movie, that the fact that he was a therapist, like, well, of course he was, but Jay Mohr and basically I forgot the name of the lead lady name.
Yeah,
I forgot her name.
She's been in a bunch of stuff, but she's not sort of well known. Her name is Lara Walters, and you've probably seen her in a bunch of stuff, but she's fairly nondescript in the sense that I've seen photos of her with brown hair and dark hair and blonde hair, and you kind of look at it and you go, well, this could all be the same woman, but it also could be 15 different women. Like, very, very, exactly. I mean, she's fine. She's entertaining in the film, but like, just sort of a nondescript thing. And I didn't recognize the name at all.
Yeah. And, her and Jay Mohr are having problems in their relationship. Jay Mohr can't get it up, which makes me laugh because I'm like, all right, I can believe that.
Right.
That's the most believable aspect of the movie.
It's like the most believable aspect of this whole fucking movie. Jay Mohr himself, he just, for whatever reason, they're having problems in a relationship. And Lara Flynn Boyle is a marriage counselor who's been divorced 3 times. And, okay.
Right, but you see, that right there is meant to be a joke. Like, the joke is meant to be like, the screenwriter sat down and went, she's a marriage counselor and she's been divorced 3 times. And what you think to yourself is, someone like a Steve Martin or someone like a Woody Allen or someone like that who wrote it could make that funny. Like, they could make a recurring joke of her having been divorced. This just kind of says it and expects, like, has Jay Mohr kind of go, well, what the hell are we doing here? She's a divorcee. What does she know about marriage counseling? Like, it doesn't know how to make that a joke. Do you know what I mean? Like, in the script.
And that's the problem. It doesn't, because like, because of course my wife was watching this because it has James Spader. She was watching this with, and she informed me, it's like, yeah, the woman that counseled us, she was divorced. I'm like, yeah, she was. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, how often does that happen?
Right.
Like, wait a minute, our marriage is
given the divorce rates in this country, I'd say about 50% of the time.
You know what, Bo? I wasn't ready for the intelligent answer for that.
But has
nobody
anyone,
ever expects intelligence out of me.
Has anyone seen that movie? And weirdly enough, talking about Megan Mullally and Will and Grace, but it's because it's got one of the Will and Grace guys in it. But it's called Free Enterprise, and it's about the 2 Trekkies who meet Shatner, and Shatner's crazy and keeps pitching them a musical Julius Caesar with him playing all the parts. Have you seen that movie?
No, but it sounds great.
It is. It's absolutely amazing. It's called Free Enterprise, and it's basically like 2 neurotic.
Why are we talking about that movie?
Right? 2 neurotic Trek fans who like meet Shatner, and he ends up being mad. But in that movie, one of them has an ex-girlfriend who he can't stop having sex with because he's just like, oh, I can't be bothered to go out dating. I'll hang out with her and have sex with her instead. And she wants to be a psychologist, but she's completely crazy and has way more problems than anyone else. And it's a really good observation because I feel like therapists in general, or the people who want to go ahead and become therapists, are really the people with all the problems.
Yeah. And I get it, I know somebody's defensive, like, well, if they're divorced, they know how not to get divorced or something. Okay, sure. Yeah, I guess I know what you mean. Every now and then people fuck up and they give it with the wrong person. They can give you that experience. But this is 3 times you got divorced. And the whole time I am waiting for the joke, and the joke never comes. That's the real big problem about that. They make note of that. I think at least 3 times in the movie, they make note that Lara Flynn Boyle was married 3 times. But anyway, she refers the wife to go to a depression counselor, which is James Spader. And James Spader is being quirky. James Spader actually is about to get divorced from his wife, Megan Mullally, because he was caught sleeping with somebody.
He's been cheating on her like multiple times.
Cheating on her, whatever. And finally, he left his wife that morning, and there's this weird scene they have in the elevator. Now, they kind of do the elevator scene right where they're going up on the elevator and it's like all crookedy and it's all rickety and shit, and you don't know if they're gonna make it to their to the top floor. There's this long ass scene where they try to say, wait a minute, you're my patient, and all this back and forth, all quirky comedy shit. Real talk the whole time. I'm like, hurry the fuck up.
Right?
Hurry the fuck up. Just hurry up.
Yeah, completely.
So finally they go to this whole scene. They go through this whole back and forth scene. She gets back on the elevator. James Spader, because James Spader said, you know what? I'm fucking something tonight. And just to be honest with you, when James Spader wants something, he's taking it. Come on, y'all. Y'all know what's happening. Come on. Like, don't act like y'all don't think that's going to happen. Y'all seen Less Than Zero. You know how this is going to fucking end. He walks on the motherfucking, he gets on the elevator, and they stop the elevator. They start banging on the elevator. And because of all this creates a problem, because it's like breaking patient doctor confidentiality or some bullshit like that. It gets kind of lost.
Well, this is the other. Yeah. So what happens is Lara Flynn Boyle is their marriage counselor. When she finds out that Spader and the patient slept together, decides, oh, you should sue him. Because it damaged you and it damaged your marriage and you were trying to fix your marriage and and you should sue him and so on and so forth. So what's weird about it is that there is a reason for that, and I'm going to give it away because I strongly recommend that no one ever watches this movie ever, even out of curiosity, never watch it. But at the end of the movie, it transpires that the woman he cheated on at a doctor's conference or therapist conference was Lara Flynn Boyle. And she really loves him, and he really loves her, and she was trying to get this woman to sue him out of spite in order to all this blah 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 goes on and on and on, right? So, what you're exactly. But what's amazing is that not only in the setup are there no jokes, like they can't find, they think there are jokes, like they've written jokes in, but they're just not, none of them are hitting. It's like seeing a stand-up performance where you go, I know what he's trying to do, but...
It's like an open mic night.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that. But then what happens is they go, well, the rest of the movie then is going to be this deposition. And you're like, well, wait a minute. All of a sudden, like people's livelihoods are at risk, and people's marriages are at risk, and people are falling out of things. But then it tries to also have like all this weird sex farce humor, where a friend of the husband is trying to sell the deposition tape where she explains the sex they had as a sex tape, even though that would never work. There's a whole thing where. There's a whole thing where they're in the deposition and the woman's giving her testimony, and like everyone's getting hot under the collar and they all have to keep running to the bathroom. Like, can
I state for the record that that's the only fucking scene in the entire movie I laughed at was Bill Murray getting up from the table and covering up his crotch with his papers. Like just the physical comedy of that alone was the only thing in this movie I found particularly fun.
Bill Murray seemed to be the only thing in this movie that really kind of, I hate to use the word delivered because that makes it sound that he was like hilarious. No, not by a long shot.
But that's the thing. He was playing the straight man for the most part.
Yeah, he was playing the straight man for the most part. All of his lines that were supposed to be like that came off deadpan, it worked. It worked with him. Like, it felt like out of everybody else that had these setup things where it like the joke was either said and you didn't laugh at it, or it was like, haha. You got that out of you. Bill Murray, when he said something, was like, all right, there you go. There's a real laugh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, although I have to say something, guys. It was incredibly disturbing. I never, ever in my entire life needed to see Bill Murray's O-face. That was something that was never anything that I wanted to see. I certainly never needed to see Catherine O'Hara's. So, like, that whole sequence in the hot tub was just disturbing.
Was hot, thank you.
How do you think I felt? I had to describe that to CJ. I was like, so what y'all watching? Like, I had to watch this movie, speaking of sex. And Chris does this nervous laugh where it's almost like I don't know what the fuck that is. It's like, what's that? I'm like, so I had to tell her what it was. I was like, basically, you know Kevin's mom off of Home Alone. Yeah, she gets eaten out by Bill Murray in a hot tub. Wow, what the?
The trouble is now everyone wants to go see that movie, and please just don't go see this movie.
That's what I said.
You know what? Honestly, that's like trying to sell About Schmidt by saying that there's a Kathy Bates nude scene in it. I mean, come on.
That's the only thing that got me to watch it.
Me too.
Dude, I was watching it and it just happened. I'm like, wait, what just happened? Wait, what?
It was hot.
What's happening here?
Listen, rather her than Hope Davis.
Hey, Kathy.
Oh my gosh! You know what? But during that whole time, there was all right. Now you may have seen the black guy. That's one of my favorite people in the world. That was Phil
Lamar. Yeah,
Phil Lamar was in
great
this.
voice actor.
Yeah, I interviewed him I interviewed him once, and I was hoping to interview him actually this past convention, but he didn't show up. There's a lot of bullshit that happened.
Oh, so he is in Free Enterprise, the movie I was just telling you about. He's in Free Enterprise. Wow. He plays one of the nerds in Free Enterprise. He's awesome in that.
Big surprise. This guy who plays voices in a lot of sci-fi shows plays a nerd. Who would have thought that?
I think it's the guy you're talking about. I'm going to double check, but I think it is.
I have that IMDb page open already because I've been reading about that movie since it's much more interesting. And yeah, he is in that.
Yeah, he's in that movie. What's so funny about it in Free Enterprise?
Let's talk about that movie.
They go to Toys R Us, and he wants to get Kiss figures. Like he wants to buy Kiss figures in Free Enterprise.
Yes.
The thing that gets me about Phil Lamar is that he doesn't have that many lines. It's just more of his facial expressions that actually work in that whole scene. Because there's like at one point
they do one dick joke at his expense because his name is Johnson.
Yeah, it's Johnson. And I hate to be that person because I don't laugh at it when somebody says Johnson and it's like, huh, yes. What? Like that wasn't funny, but because I was deprived for a minute, when that happened, here's me. Okay, there you go. You got that.
You got that chuckle.
Right, but you see, like, yet again, The Big Lebowski knows how to do it. This movie does not know how to do it. Like, there's a way to make a joke about a Johnson, and this movie completely failed on every count.
And I think that was really the big problem about this movie. There was a lot of shit that could have actually worked. It was just a little bit more funny, or at least the jokes were structured better. Do you know what
I felt like? Is I felt like if this movie was being made today, right? Because this movie just comes out at the point where the sort of improv comedy thing that we kind of see now all the time sort of hadn't really started yet. And if it had, it had only been a couple of movies. If this movie was coming out now and they got the same script, they would be sat in that table doing the deposition scene, and you would have Catherine O'Hara and Bill Murray and everyone be like, fuck this, let's throw this out and like let's do our own thing. Like we can come up with lines and jokes funnier than this and still
Guys, I have some bad news.
What's that?
Phil Lamar's not in The Big Lebowski.
No, I know. What? I know he's not in The Big Lebowski. What's that got to do with anything, Mo?
Oh my God, Mo.
Mo, go sit in the hot box or something.
I love how Mo just made it fucking clear that he would rather watch toast come out of a toaster than this fucking movie. He just made it official.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did spend about half of this movie masturbating, so.
Kathleen O'Hara, I hope. But you know what? There's just in that deposition scene, because the deposition scene
is the movie. Like it goes on for hours. It's
ad nauseum, yeah.
You know, and like I say, and because this is not the Spader we're not used to, we have to see him the whole time act embarrassed, and he does it all right. You know what I mean? He does it, fair enough. But
he does neurotic pretty good.
Yeah, he does. He does it pretty good because he is himself neurotic himself. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I feel like he's gone over the top in this, though. Like I feel like he's doing it,
not in a good way.
No.
Not in a good way.
Yeah, not in a good way at all. The one thing I will say is this: I thought the nicknames for the penis. They did this whole thing, this whole build up. because she didn't want to say penis or dick or anything. She said Mr. Happy. And finally, to describe Spader's dick was Mr. Majestic. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, that's not in the lines. That's really what James Spader calls his dick.
I thought he called it the Spadinator. That's what I thought he called it. You've just been spaded. That's what I feel like he said. You lie there and I'm going to spade you to the bed. I have no idea. I assume that, yes, maybe Mr. Majestic is the name of his penis for real. Yeah. Like, maybe they had another word for it, and Spader was like, can we just call it what it really is, Majestic, and move on?
Or it's like, no, you can't use that. Why not? Why not? That's copyright. There's a copyright on that, and I would not allow.
I have a lawyer who routinely checks on my penis and updates her contract or something. I don't know. I know what I'm trying to say, but it's a Monday evening and we're talking about this movie and
you know what? Honestly, I've been having much more fun just listening to you kind of peter out on that one. So
no, it's true. My wife did say this because I guess she just hadn't seen all the Spader movies like I have. She's a big fan of Spader just because recently. She's more recent fan of him.
But she likes The Blacklist?
She loves it. She loves that show. I like it too.
You only like it because it's got the word black in it.
No. Well, let's get her fucking right. Sir. I love James Spader. And I was actually raised kind of on Spader because I didn't know this until my dad said, hey, do you watch Blacklist? I'm like, nah, yada, yada, yada. And he mentioned that Spader was in it. And I'm like, hey, Dad, you like Spader, don't you? My dad said, oh, that's my boy. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, D, when was the first time you saw Less Than Zero with your dad? Yeah. What about The Cool Kids with your dad? Yeah. What about that movie where Rob Lowe?
Bad Influence?
Bad Influence. Like, remember Bad Influence? Like, yeah. Who you watched it with? My dad. Who you watched to practice with? I didn't watch that show, but who watched it all the time? My dad. Oh my God. My dad's a Spader file. I did not know that.
A Spader file.
I did not know that. But yeah. So my wife is just new to it. So when she saw on Spader, of course, having sex in this movie. Here's my wife. Well, there it goes. That's on my checklist. I seen Spader's ass. I was waiting on that.
Oh wow, you can see Spader's ass in like 90% of his filmography. His ass and his pasty ginger white chest is out in quite a few of his films. And what's funny about The Blacklist is because I kind of tried to watch the first season. I watched probably through most of the first season. And my problem with The Blacklist is I'm absolutely adoring James Spader walking around drinking out of very, very tiny coffee cups, licking his lips routinely, flouncing around in flappy scarves, wearing trilbies, and practically going down on everyone he meets. I'm having a huge amount of fun watching that. Everyone else in that show sucks balls. In the first season I'm watching, and the lead actress, whoever that is, where you're like, well, is she his daughter? Are they going to be lovers? Like, what's the whole secret here? And clearly she was meant to be his daughter, and then like when the writers went, oh shit, everyone's figured out what it was straight away, they then had to like try and backpedal and do something else. But
I hate it. The only thing I hated about the show, because you could tell they had to rewrite a lot of this shit, and you could tell. And I have a problem with few shows that do this. You could tell that there was a lot of fan influence on the direction of the show. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, completely. And what was hilarious was I was watching that whole first season. And I'm like, she's wearing a wig. That hair looks like a wig. That hair, and like Kim sitting me with, she's like, it's not a wig. It's not like it's her real hair. And I'm like, if it's her real hair, she has wig hair. She has hair that like just looks like a wig. And it was, I couldn't get into the show because I was looking at the hair going, that is just enormous. That's like a mad helmet. But I mean, it's long woman's hair, but like it's also like this weird helmet. It doesn't sit on her head right. Her whole face is weird. Like it just drove me nuts. And then to to top it all off, they introduce William Sadler as I believe her real dad or possible real dad or certainly a friend of James Spader. And I'm suddenly thinking, oh my God, it's going to be Sadler and Spader. This is amazing. Get rid of the dumb broad and just have Sadler and Spader go on a car trip of knocking shops in Italy, just boning people and drinking tiny coffees. I'm like, that's what I want to watch. And then they kill Sadler. And I'm like, all right, screw this TV show. I'm not watching it ever again.
Jeez, John, spoilers.
Well, it's all right. He's only in like half an episode.
It's like a half an episode. I think they just offed him off real quick. I think Sadler was just only there because he was in between shows and shit.
Yeah, Sadler's like, I got to go back to Hawaii Five-0 and get some of that island money.
I think he was in. I think he was actually in. He was in The Flash for like an episode and a half in that one too.
Well, yeah, because he's a lead at the moment on. He was on Hawaii Five-0 for ages, and then isn't he in Power on Showtime?
I have no idea. I know. Look. I know I'm the black guy and I'm supposed to watch Power. I got to be honest with you. I don't watch that show. I watched the first season of that shit. That's about it. I don't watch it like that. If he's in it, I'm good. I'm glad he's in it because I love William Sadler and I just want him to have constant work no matter what.
I think he always will.
But you know,
Sadler is eternal. I think he just will always have work. I think because he's relatable and a damn fine guy.
You know what? Go back to what we talked about way earlier. We was talking about those crappy teenage shows. There was a show that my wife forced me to watch. It's 3 seasons. I only made the 2 of them. It was a show called Roswell, and he was on it, and fucking Katherine Heigl was on it. And every episode, I said this: if William Sadler don't get up and snap Katherine Heigl's neck, this show is a failure. I made it to season 2. Let me tell you something. The show's a goddamn failure. So whatever.
I like how we keep derailing into like mad discussions about TV shows.
Nothing else to talk about, John.
Well, that's because they're way more interesting than the movie we're actually supposed to be talking about.
There is nothing else to talk about in the show.
No, there isn't. Yeah, I mean, because the main thing is if the movie was funnier, in general, like written funnier, Spader wouldn't have to be overacting. He could do a slightly more subtle neurotic thing, and it would actually be more entertaining. The trouble is that I think he's realized that the script is a dud. I think he realized that like each scene needs way more energy than it has. So I think that he's trying to just be like, fuck it, I'm just going to try and bring the energy up in every single scene. And the trouble is every other actor in the movie, I think, is trying to like bring the energy down so that it meets somewhere in the middle. And actually it just ends up with Spader looking insane.
Yeah,
there's a couple of moments that I enjoyed, although I mean not funny, but that I enjoyed, and those were like
don't get me wrong, it wasn't funny.
Yeah. Nothing particularly funny, but so when Bill Murray's going over the like when what's his character's name, Scoval or whatever, is going over the incidences with like especially in the elevator with James Spader. You know, he's having these. So James Spader has all these like little flashes of either memory or fantasy or whatever, and they're going through the incidences, and Spader is imagining himself as a much more polished, much more like debonair and interesting man, and I thought that was. Like, honestly, that's probably how they should have had him playing from the beginning.
Right. No, I completely agree. Like, had they gone... Because clearly they looked at the script and went, well, it's called Speaking of Sex, so get James Spader on the phone. Like, that's the first... like, the guy, John McNaughton, looked at it and went, well, it's got sex in the title, so James Spader has to be in it, right? So that's the first thing. Then he called up all his friends, like Bill Murray, who's been in 3 of his movies, and a bunch of other people who I think have been sort of in his other stuff, or he probably are just friends of his in Hollywood. But they get Spader, and then they suddenly realize, like I think halfway through the movie, that, oh wait, although his character does have sex with everyone, and technically there isn't a woman in the movie that he hasn't had sex with except the pregnant woman in the deposition, and I think he probably made her pregnant, like in a cut scene or something, because he's literally he has sex with Jay Mohr's wife. He's had sex with Lara Flynn Boyle. He's technically had sex with Megan Mullally because they were married together, right? We don't see it, but technically, so like there really isn't a woman who in the movie that is well, except Catherine O'Hara, I guess, but she gets soiled by Bill Murray, which is sort of. He's Spader's lawyer, so it's kind of tangentially as if Spader probably gave Murray tips on how to get O'Hara in the hot tub. That's probably what happened.
But pretty much he got sex out of that because of proxy.
It's a proxy, Spader proxy. I feel like that's probably how half the babies in New York are born. But like the reason why so many happy people live in the village where Spader lives is because Spader by proxy. But if you so they're looking at the movie, they're like, speaking of sex, it's James Spader, he has sex with everyone in the movie, but then suddenly somewhere along the line they realize that but he also has to be the neurotic character, and then Spader's decided to try and like bring the energy of the movie up all the time and trying to like get humor where there isn't any, and it's a valiant attempt, like it's a really valiant effort to try and make it funny, but it just doesn't work because the lines aren't there, and the problem with it is if he was playing Spader as his normal, louche, open, flouncy shirt, purse-lipped, drooly self, you would be like, well, this is perfect. This is exactly the movie I want to be watching. But unfortunately, he has to try and like wring comedy out of this neurotic character, and it kind of takes a hefty wedge out of his sex, and that's the problem, is that Spader should just be 98% sex and 2% intellect, and maybe and maybe like probably like 1.5% intellect and then 0.5% some form of silk garment, whether it's a shirt or a scarf or underpants or something. Like he has to be wearing silk on him at some point.
They changed the ratio. I think they changed that ratio in Blacklist, because the one thing that my wife loves about it is the fact that James Spader has a fucking story for fucking everything. One time I was in the Amazon and I knew this medicine man, good man, and he just go into this long fucking story, and then at the end, like I guess like he shot him in the head or some bullshit like that. It's always the same fucking story, just a different spot.
Right, exactly. What that is James Spader actually telling stories about his sexual exploits, but just changing it to shooting someone in the head. Like it's always what he really means.
Oh, they got shot in the head, all right.
Exactly, Mo.
See, there you go, Mo.
That's what.
Mo has the right idea.
The writers of the Blacklist are like, I'm not sure we can come up with any more stories for you. And James is like, don't worry, I've got 1,000. And he just knows exactly what to do and where to go. And they just go, that's great. But could you change, and I shot my load in her face, to I shot her in the face? And then he's like, easy, no problem, quick, rewrite. And that's how they do it. That's how the Blacklist is made.
I think what was it? There was actually one line I meant to mention from Bill Murray that absolutely made me laugh. It's when there was a big fight in the deposition because Jay Mohr got mad enough. He's like, I'll kill you. And James Spader is like, oh, and all that mess. They finally get everybody out, and Bill Murray is trying to calm everybody down. And it's kind of, there's a laugh here and a laugh there. And just because, again, I'm deprived of comedy, I blurt out laughing, and he points at Jay Mohr. You lip-dip bastard! You're the reason why we all lived. I died laughing. Just the fact that he just pointed at it, I'm like, you know what, movie? There you go. There's your one big laugh of the movie. I hope you spent it well.
Right. But there's now. Let me ask you, sir. Was there did either of you guys find it? Because there's sex throughout the movie in different scenes and stuff like that, but there's this whole sequence in the deposition where she's explaining graphically what Spader did to her. And again, it's weird that Bill Murray doesn't quite know how to play it, because you would assume that he would know how to play the scene. The scene is meant to be almost like a Mel Brooks scene. Like, tell us again about like the sex you guys were having, or even like a Naked Gun scene, like with everyone like leaning over the table and sweating and then finally falling over the table or whatever. Or is that Loaded Weapon? I forget. But like one of those, like it's meant to be a scene like that where, of course, in a deposition, people wouldn't be talking about like he circled my nipples with his tongue or whatever. But like in this movie, it's meant to be funny and heightened, and everyone's meant to be getting hot under the collar and stuff like that. But what's weird is they don't really play it like that. Like that's how it's written, I think. But for some reason, it's not acted or edited or whatever like that, and it sort of doesn't come off very well. But then
that's the real problem. It just doesn't come off that way.
Right. So then
they mildly come off where it's like instead of it actually being sexy, it's like, wow, that was sexy. Here's me. I mean, yeah, but come the fuck on, guys. Like,
but that's the problem.
Really?
Is making it sexy, and maybe this is her problem, is that she didn't act it in the way she acted it, like trying to be both mild but also sort of knowingly sexy. And she should have maybe played it up a bit more. I think the problem is by making it the way she played it, which was sort of, I guess, semi-realistic, is that it actually made you feel like you can't get a laugh out of that. You know what I mean? It's almost slightly awkward and slightly weird, but also slightly pervy and slightly like just everything about it was sort of tonally wrong, is what I'm trying to say. But then they all go out to the bathroom and everyone's like, oh, I've got to like mop my brow and oh, I'm so hot under the collar and all this sort of stuff, right? Which was also a complete waste of time. And then when they come back into the deposition room, the Indian guy who's running the camera and the pregnant woman who is taking the notes of the deposition are like standing up against the table, and he's sort of like manhandling this pregnant woman's breasts. And I know they think it's a joke. I know they think that, oh, ha, 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 like bursting in and finding this couple like rubbing each other's nipples is funny. But like I was just like, wait a minute. The deposition scene was just sort of weird and creepy. Then I come in and there's like a pregnant woman having her nipples rubbed, and I'm just like, well, that's unpleasant. And it would, I mean, and I know it was just. I
don't know. It depends on your kink, really.
No, true. No, I get it. What I'm trying to say is it's unpleasant if you're trying to watch a comedy, is what I mean. It's not I'm not trying to be like a prude or whatever.
No, you said it right. No. You said it correctly. Here's the problem.
I just mean tonally, it's way off, is what I mean.
It wasn't funny.
Right.
It just wasn't funny. The point, you can make that scene work because, first off, I guess because, like you said, and tonally, it doesn't work because if the tone was set as it was, it was more so it was said and therefore, oh, it's sexy. It really wasn't. It was just more so, all right. Hope you had a good time. That's all it was. It wasn't like, like, oh my God, I got to jerk off right now. It wasn't like that, but that's the way they played it. So it was more of just the way they played it. It was supposed to be that way. So when you come in there and these two are trying to trying to rub each other's nipples, it doesn't come off funny. It just comes off like, dude, really? Come on, do your job. It comes off more like that.
And her being pregnant is just a really weird, like, part of the scene.
That really was kind of weird, like I don't give a, like, hey, look, pregnant chicks, your thing, go ahead, man, go ahead, whatever. I don't care, but at the same time, it was like it kind of made it more like, okay, that fucking happened,
right? It's not a laugh scene. You don't suddenly go, it's a laugh scene. When it comes up on the screen, you're going, wait, what's happening? And then everyone walks in, and you're like, oh wait, that was meant to be like a naughty, and then sort of a thing to get like walked in on as if it was like a sex romp or something. But I think one thing, okay, so this is the other thing that's incredible. Like Mo and I, and probably yourself, D, we've watched a lot of like the 80s sex romps, right? And growing up in the UK, I have watched tons of the Carry On films, which were the 60s and 70s British sex romps that kind of led to a lot of the sort of 80s farces. And they're all farces, which is essentially like, yes, everyone is trying to have sex, but ultimately people are running in and out of doors, people's trousers are falling down, people are being caught like having sex in weird places, people are doing aerobics and their bras fly off or whatever it is. It's all very like cheeky, end of the pier, run around, slapstick, romp farce type movie, but with like sex in it, right? And essentially that's what this movie is sort of, or I think that's what James Spader is trying to be in this movie. But you mix it with the guy who made like Wild Things and Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer and stuff like that, and like the sex is not like, there's nothing funny so much about the sex, and there's nothing like farcical necessarily about what they're doing because it's a legal deposition, and like they try and do it, but it doesn't quite work, and it just. And then the end is meant to be this big thing where they're all at this cabin and they were just having sex, and then him and Lara Flynn Boyle have sex. And I'm like, well, you've kind of missed the point of what a kind of sex romp is. Yes, you're showing a lot of sex, but like that's not really where the joke comes from. The joke is not like, oh, great, they're all having sex now. And I think the way he filmed the sex was sort of a little bit, it's not realistic, but it's certainly more like a softcore thriller type sex scenes rather than a sex romp sex scene. And there's sort of a difference. Like in a sex romp sex scene, there's always something ludicrous happening. And I suppose in this one, there was the scene where she noticed there was a helicopter outside. But I'm like, so wait, the joke is that she's noticed there's a hospital helicopter that's ferrying blood somewhere while she's having sex. Like, what is that? Like, how is that a joke?
That was weird. And there was another, at the very end, you see all the people, this line of people that were trying to get on the elevator, I guess, to have sex on that same elevator.
Yeah,
right?
I didn't really get the joke of that scene.
And here's the problem, and that's where see, to me, that shows you the problem. Now, the joke itself, I'm like, okay, I get it. There's a person that. One thing I was interested, there was a man and a woman with a blow-up doll, and I said, okay, they're going to have a three-way with a blow-up doll. That's actually kind of hilarious to me. But that shows you the problem of the movie. Okay, that just because to me that proved to me that the movie was done so wrong because there was nothing funny enough to warrant that joke at the end. If it was one thing where everybody that touched that fucking elevator, they automatically banged, or they banged that elevator more than once, anything. The whole movie to me was written, not directed at all. It just felt like it was one of those things like, let's just get through this fucking movie. We just made this fucking movie. Let's just get through it, get through this scene, get through that scene, get through this scene, get through that scene. We're done. And that's
how I felt watching it.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There were jokes that happened, and nothing happened really. Nothing really happened.
Even the scene where, I just forgot this as well, there's a scene where the two lawyers call up separate private investigators, except unknown to them, the private investigators really live in the same house and are lovers. And they call each other up while the private investigators are having sex on the phone. Or they're having sex, they're both on the phone, and then the lawyers are on the phone. So it's like a kind of When Harry Met Sally split screen thing with these two people having sex in the middle, and one lawyer one side and the other lawyer the other side. And what was so weird about the sequence was that they hadn't written any jokes. They just went, oh, it'll be funny that they're having sex while they're on the phone because they'll be moaning and groaning and stuff. But it wasn't like there was, are you feeling all right? Are you feeling all right? Or I don't know, oh, I'm coming. What do you mean you're coming? I haven't told you where to go yet. Or something like that. There would be at least...
There was no joke.
And so you're sort of watching it going, well, wait a minute. And they're sort of having, again, not like realistic sex, but sort of, softcore,
like unrealistic sex.
Yeah,
unrealistic.
Kind of like
it's almost on the same level of It's almost on the same level. When you see somebody like in a actually a good example of it. Because I know you watched all those movies, like the sleepaway camp movies. You remember the second one where the second one or the third one, it doesn't matter. One in those sequels, you would hear Angela say something like she will say like a one-liner, and it's almost like, who did you say that for? In the context of this scene,
right.
Who did you say that for?
Her brother Bruce Springsteen.
For? In this scene, exactly. But but in this sense, it's like, so they're both having sex, and the people on the other end don't know that they're having sex. Okay, I get the joke, but where's the punchline?
Right.
Where's the punchline? It's just funny because they're having sex. Because, the point of a sex romp or a point of a sex comedy is that there's supposed to be that second part, comedy. Is it just funny because having sex is not funny Really, it really ain't funny unless there's a punchline.
Clearly, you've never had sex with me.
Right? No, it could have been. Soon, Mo. Soon we will have our day. Anyway,
now that's sex comedy.
Now, see, you know what? I'm with you, John. It wasn't no like, well, you hear the guy on the other like, oh. It's like, wait a minute, what's that going in the background? Oh, nothing. None of that. There was no joke at all. So, and that's what was so frustrating. That was just really what's so frustrating. Like, there's supposed to be comedy to this. And it goes back to the thing like, I just remember there's a guy in a helicopter, they're giving blood. Like, what the fuck does that got to do with anything?
Right.
That's not sexy.
Do you know what I felt like? I felt like it was the kind of movie, right, where you'd be like a teenager or whatever, and you'd see it and you go, oh, it's a Bill Murray comedy or a James Spader comedy or whatever, and you'd put it on and your parents would come into the room, right? And would sit down. You're like, what are you watching? Oh, it's a James Spader, Bill Murray comedy. Oh, okay, great. We'll watch this then. And like all of a sudden, they would just be bombarded with these endless, relentless sex scenes, and it would be one of those things where you're like, I thought this was a Bill Murray comedy, honestly, and like your parents would be looking at you like, what the fuck did we just watch? Like it's that kind of movie, right? It's not funny. It's awkward. It's like nervous and creepy and awkward and. It just doesn't hit the mark. Like it's so. Anyway, that's. I think I've said about all I can say about it.
You know what? There's only one more thing that we have not mentioned, and I have to mention it because my wife is going to get mad at me if we don't bring this up. What the fuck was up with the accordion and didgeridoo music in the fucking in the movie? Like you would hear like what was going on with the fucking soundtrack?
I'll tell you exactly. D, I'll tell you exactly what it was. It was someone watched the movie and went, fuck, this isn't funny at all. So where we can't, like, there's even a bit right at the end where for the whole movie we're told that Jay Mohr can't get an erection, right? So that at the end of the movie when he gets an erection, literally the sound man is like, God, I've got to try and make this funny in some way. I've just sat through 90 minutes. I want to kill myself. So he literally puts on the soundtrack like a badoing, like literally puts on like a ridiculously over-the-top spring sound. And that's the same with the soundtrack. They're doing that wah, 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 and the biddly beep, biddly dit, 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 like the accordion thing in order to try and like, I don't know, Benny Hill the thing up a bit, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, see, the problem is they got the music, but they forgot to put it in fast motion.
No, there's even but Mo, they didn't. There's a sequence at the end where they run down the stairs in fast motion. There's actually a sequence in this movie where they're all running along.
It's supposed to be funny,
right? And you're like, at least have someone's pants fall down. There was no bald man having his head polished. No one's pants fell down. No one's top flew off. Like, it was all wrong. Everything about it was wrong. You put yakety sax on there and have a couple of people's clothes fall off, like a nun or something, and have Benny Hill run past and go, ooh, misses, and then you've got a film.
Yeah.
You know, in the words of Peter Griffin, oh my God, somebody throw a pie. Somebody throw a pie.
That I think you have. Now I'm not a huge fan of Family Guy, but like you have summed it up, D. That is exactly. You finish this movie and you go for the love of God, will someone throw a pie? That is the metaphor of this movie. I completely agree.
You know what? Like I said, when I say I liked it in the sense of, you know what? I can say I watched it.
Yeah, I'll add that to my list. Movies I have seen.
I have seen.
D went into it.
I made it through that.
D went into it with his level set so very low. His bar was so very low. You know what?
Since becoming a movie critic, I set my bar so low when it comes to certain things now. So I just do it.
He actually has 3 lists that he keeps. One is movies that he's seen, one is movies that he's liked, and the other one is white people.
Right.
Oh yeah, I do have.
And I feel like this one it gets a firm check in the 3rd box.
Fuck yeah!
Oh,
this is such.
Oh
this
my
is
God, it does.
Yeah, this is such a just white. You should watch it. There should be there should be a thing where this movie plays on TV or something late at night, and then at the very end, you just look at the camera and go, "White people, am I right?" And it just goes wah wah wah.
D, not to give you any ideas because you've already got like 9 shows going right now, but I mean, honestly, if you started a podcast and called it White People Movies, I'd fucking listen to it.
This is not even a joke. I think one of my friends, he does something like that where I have like 2 other friends where they go into this segment of their show they call, all right, White People News. And White People News, sorry, Mo, it's your state. It's always something that happens.
It's always fucking Florida.
It's always fucking Florida. But I have nobody because I always admired that about at least 3 Black Geeks. We would do movies that most of our friends was like, wow, why would y'all do that shit? Because, nobody else does it. And it's weird. Only a few black shows really try to go into white people territory. I can say we never really have yet. Oh, it's going to happen. I just don't know when. I just don't know when.
All right, well, when you guys do your episode on The Notebook, let me know.
You see what I'm saying? Actually, you know what? To make
Okay,
you a little
you have to now do an episode on The Notebook.
God, I won't. Knock on wood, but I won't. You know what? I will
Three
give you
Black
this
Geeks presents The Notebook, Titanic, and Love Actually.
Oh, you know what?
No, it'd be The Notebook, Love Actually, and The Time Traveler's Wife.
Wow.
Or Kate and Leopold, the movie with Meg Ryan and what's his name?
No, fuck no. Oh, Kate Ryan.
What's that shitty one where they're like they're writing letters back and forth to each other, and we find out that like actually it's like time traveling.
That was a Keanu Reeves movie.
Yeah, Lake House.
Fucking.
Yeah, The Lake House. There you go. There's another one for your movie list.
To be really honest with you, I didn't like the movie, but I thought it was kind of sweet. All right, I'll admit that. I thought it was kind of sweet. All right, I'm like, all right, that was bad, but whatever. but I don't think we have reached that level of white people.
All right, well, let me know when you do your episode on The Proposal.
You know what? I will give you this though, Mo. Me and my wife, and I'm so surprised that nobody that's because I don't think enough of them listen to us. The people that run the whole DC critics group that we're a part of. I don't think nobody heard that review I did, but it was me and my wife. And me and my wife admitted off the break that we got a bootleg copy of 50 Shades of Grey. And because one of us had to fucking watch the movie. It was a week before Black Panther, and we couldn't get tickets for it for whatever reason. But I was like, fuck it. I know somebody got that shit on bootleg, so we found a copy of it. Me and my wife watched it because, hey, she read the book. We got to finish this son of a bitch. We saw the first 2. And finally, I think like midway through the podcast, me and my wife was talking, and I said something that happened in the movie. My wife was like, yeah, white people.
But did you watch the parody, the 50 Shades of Black or whatever the parody version was as well? Did you watch that?
Because I'm one of the 50% of black people that do not like Marlon Wayans. So, no, I didn't watch it.
Yeah, me too.
I think you could just say 50% of people. I think 50% of people do not like Marlon Wayans.
He's got that new show on TV that just looks fucking terrible.
You know what? Here's the thing. I get why people like Marlon Wayans, but me, it's like, yo, dude, it's not 2004 no more. You're not funny like anymore ever.
But
I don't know why.
He's never been funny without his brothers.
Not his brothers at all. That's the one that always got me. Even in a dud, in one of the what was it, the dance movie they had? Even in that dud of a movie, everybody had a funny line except Marlon, and that kind of shocked me. Like Kim Wayans, the 3 scenes she was in, actually hilarious.
She's pretty funny. She just doesn't do a lot.
here's the thing. Sean, who's usually the weakest brother of all of them,
Right.
Sean had the funniest parts of the whole movie because he was the baby father that would just show up just out of nowhere. It was kind of funny. Marlon had a whole full-on scene dedicated to him. I did not laugh. I was like, wow. Who would have thought? If I would have told D in 1999, who was watching the Wayans brothers every day, hey, D, Marlon, yeah, he's not going to be funny by this year, I would say bullshit.
All right, guys.
That's shot.
So, one last thing that we always do on our Sleazy Spader Springtime movies is that we talk about this. We have this idea, Jim and I, who have done the series for the last 2 years, we have this idea that James Spader has like a sex dungeon. And in his sex dungeon at his home, he has mementos from all the movies that he's done that he finds particularly weird or sexual. And it's never what you would think. It's not like something obviously sexual. It's something that's slightly weird. Like the thing that you would look at and you go, really, he would take that and have sex with it. That's disgusting. Considering this movie is already kind of like a bit weirdly sexual and weird, sexually weird, it might be difficult. But what do you think is the Spader memento that he took from this movie that he then has at home? What do you think it is?
All right.
Mo, you go first.
Let me go first on this one because I have an idea that immediately sprang to mind, and that is a pun. I think that he took home the cork from the champagne bottle at the end of the film that he shoves up his own ass to massage his prostate into while he masturbates.
Okay, so you're saying that he went with the champagne cork from the final scene.
Yes.
All right, D, what are you going with?
You know what, Mo? Fuck you, because I was about to say the same thing with that champagne.
That's the exact reason why I said I want to go first on this one, because I had a feeling we were thinking of the same damn
right
thing.
for that champagne bottle. That went up his ass. Okay. Actually, no, that sounds disgusting. That's just really disgusting.
Say
No,
it.
say it. Say it. That's the whole point.
You have to say it now.
Yeah.
Okay. You remember Jay Moore's brother made that cheap box cover of his wife that was his wife, and it had like a Photoshop naked body on there?
Yes.
He
took that. He took that. I think
has crust on it.
I think
what you're saying is like he'll like look at it while he masturbates, and when he comes on the wall, like he'll stick it to the wall, a la Philip Seymour Hoffman's character from Happiness.
Oh God! Accurate, yes.
I have something, and I think that I like your choices. I think your choices are good. I'm going to show you kind of where I think Spader's head is really at, right? So I think he took two things from this movie. I think he took, and it's not like a bucket or a glass or a regular receptacle. It's like one of those science lesson beakers. And I think he filled it up with some of the hot tub water that Bill Murray and Catherine O'Hara were in. And I think he has a science beaker filled with Bill Murray and Catherine O'Hara hot tub water. He definitely took some hot tub water. And maybe he occasionally, like a perverted Hannibal Lecter, instead of feeding his guests human meat, what he does is he sprinkles some of the hot tub water like over dessert or something as he serves it up. And they don't realize, because it's like pudding or something that he's serving up at some sexual soiree. But little do they know that there's just a splash of Catherine O'Hara and Bill Murray hot tub water. So he definitely took that. Definitely.
I can imagine now. Right now, John, I can imagine somebody like, "Oh, this is good. No, this pudding tastes like balls."
And then the other thing that he took from this movie,
this pudding's a little salty.
The other thing that he
pudding
took
tastes like garfield
from this movie is he took the fake belly harness that the pregnant stenographer was wearing. And he has that hung up in his sex dungeon over the top of some of the hot tub water. That's what he took from the movie. I think, yes, he probably did shove the cork up his ass, and yeah, of course he's got those photographs. In fact, he probably made, you know how like Jeff Bridges, on Jeff Bridges movies, he takes like those panoramic photographs with that special camera he has, and he like gives the cast a book at the end of it. I think James Spader took all the nude bodies from that collage the guy was making, and he stuck all the cast's heads on nude bodies, like creepily, like so they don't.
Gave him a book
of all the pictures.
I can imagine Lara Flynn Boyle's like this. I'm gonna call. I know it. One day I'm gonna have to call the FBI.
Now Lara Flynn Boyle can look at that and go, oh, so that's what I'd look like with big tits.
Wow. So you mean if I eat a steak, that's how big I get? Wow.
No, there's only 2 moments in this film where you actually get to see a little, like the tiniest glimpse of nipple, and Lara Flynn Boyle is one of them.
Yeah, you know what? That's actually the problem I had.
Yeah, this should have had way more nudity, like way more. It reminds me of a time where I'll never forget it. I was like 20 years old. I was at my parents. I was still living with my parents, and I forgot whatever movie we was watching, and it was boring as hell. And I got loud. Hey, was it speaking of sex?
It might have been, but I remember loud as day. I like, Mom, forgive me, Dad. My dad was like, yeah. I need to see some titties. My dad just starts laughing. Where's the nudity at? Give me something to do. God.
So I think we've well and truly gone into this movie and the TV output of almost everyone who's in it or tangentially in it. We've also
we did a damn good job.
We did.
We did fail to do one thing, and that's we should have talked about Ellen Burstyn more, but that's okay. That's okay. We don't need to go into it now.
It's fine. We got the one joke that made you laugh about Megan Mullally peeing on a carpet. That's all we need. And we've also picked out what James Spader would put in his sex dungeon. I think that we've done a damn fine job. We were the men to do it. It was a very difficult movie to have to review, considering I didn't really want to think about it ever again or talk about it ever again. So thank you ever so much, Dee and Mo. Dee, why don't you start and just let us know where people can find you and what shows you have going on, where people can listen, and all the good stuff. Pimp your stuff, buddy.
Yes, I will. 3blackgeeks.com. The number 3, blackgeeks.com, all one word. We had a rough, last month was rough, but whatever, doesn't matter. We just had our 250th episode. That was with
who was on that episode?
You, Mr. Fournay. I think it was you. Yes. We did Leonard Part 6. It was a movie that we wanted to do for a long time. We finally did it. Currently,
topical.
John, I gotta tell you, they roped me in with the possibility of doing Disorderlies, and then they're like, "No, we're gonna do Leonard Part 6." And I'm like, "But I already said yes."
Oh no, that's the worst, guys. The problem was you literally Cosby'd him. You Cosby'd him.
Yeah,
literally what you did.
We peeled Cosby, you man, but
it's all right. It's all right. I consented.
This month is going to be just so wacky. As far as movies, I know the next movie we're going to do. Mo, you probably heard of this movie. You ever heard the movie called Stone Cold with Brian Bosworth?
Yes.
Yeah, and so is such a great movie.
Dude, I can't wait to talk about who's it? Lance Henderson's fucking 6-pack. Oh my god, dude!
Such a great movie.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
But that being said, the only big thing we have coming up is our summer series. We always do a summer series of movies, much like you do do Sleazy Spader. Every summer we do something different. This year we decided to do American movies. We call American with no A, American Summer, is going to be all American movies that's basically like, patriotic movies. Team America, Delta Force, Executive Decision, and I forgot there was another movie I can't. Oh, yeah, Independence Day, of course. So that's our big thing we're going to have for the summer. That's about it. 3blackgeeks.com. You can look up everything we got. That's it.
Awesome.
All right.
And Mo, where can they find you, sir?
No, here and there, I guess. No,
apart from steaming up the windows of James Spader's sex dungeon.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm still doing No Budget Nightmares. It's the only active show I have going at the moment. You can find all of our past and present episodes at nobudgetpodcast.com. You can find us on Facebook. Just do a search, No Budget Nightmares, all as one word. And yeah, you're going to want to check out this most recent episode. We did a really fucking bizarre and brilliant Japanese movie called Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder from Hell, which is credited as the Japanese Evil Dead. It's not, but
which is
it's
weird
heavily
because there already was a movie from Japan that they called The Evil Dead, but.
Yeah, well, this one has a weird history. It was filmed in 95 and then sort of left dormant until about 2012 or 2009. Didn't get a U.S. release until 2015, and it shows. It's goofy. It's a lot of fun. Me and Doug talk about it. You're going to want to not listen to the previous episode before that, where we covered Jesus Christ Serial Rapist.
Yeah, because that was really fun for me to fucking sit through. I got the...
Oh my God! What a fucking!
And you told me not to listen to it.
I did. I very specifically said don't listen to it. Nobody should ever watch that movie. It's fucking terrible. And I don't even give a shit about the religious aspects of it because there aren't any. Just title alone. But yeah, it's a real piece of shit. Anyway, that's me. Facebook. I guess I technically have a Twitter. I'm at Drunk on VHS. I never go on there.
And you can also find a lot of Mo's back episodes of Drunk on VHS on the aftermoviediner.com, where the kind of official, what's the word now? Catalog? What's the word? Official archive is the word. That's it. Yeah. The official archive lives at Aftermovie Diner.
I have a bunch more episodes I got to get to you at some point too, but I mean obviously it's not a huge rush.
Well, guys,
nobody's out there clamoring for old fucking Drunk on VHS episodes.
We all are. We all are.
I have one that we were on with you, Mo. I think that was New Jack City. I got to look for that one because apparently my second in command doesn't fucking have that on his computer, so I have to find it. Yeah. I know you hearing this, Chris. Yes, motherfucker, you ain't got it.
Well, gentlemen, thank you ever so much for joining me on this episode and contributing to Sleazy Spader Springtime 3, 'Tis the Sleazon. Thanks ever so much, and until next time, goodbye and all the best to everyone listening.
Good night, folks.
Good night.
Sunny day, time again to break away. I don't mind, but I just can't stay inside on this Sunday. get us a bag.